Okay, I'll just get started and then I'll go check the other link just to make sure people aren't hanging out in the. Apparently, there were two links, everybody. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to welcome you and say hi. My name is Christopher George. I'm one of the directors of instruction here. And we're here with Kelly Hilton and Carrie Chamberlain and Nikki Chapman. And we know that we just want to thank you all here. I know most from previous efforts. We know that Schoology has been probably toughest on the people whose work we want to promote the most, and that's you. And we have just a team of people diligently working through that to try to get this to be easier and do the things that we want it to do. So we wanted to invite you all here today and get some questions answered and get some help out there. We have a big year for those of you who have worked with our previous grading efforts. We're just getting those restarted, and we have a big year ahead of us, and we've gotten kind of some green lights on a lot of good work to go forward, but we need to make sure that Schoology works for us. And we're in the process of that. Some very, very long conversations with Schoology and saying that we need their help as well to help get you on board and to make life easier for you. So we just appreciate your work so far. If you can, I see the comments there. I understand. If we can just hang in there with us, we're really diving in and getting this fixed and getting things going the way we want them to go. I know it's been a tough road, but it's also at the same time, we've seen a lot of people kind of come forward with some innovative ideas and great things that we've been able to do. So hopefully we can get those shared today. And thank you. And for those of you who are interested, we are currently recruiting this year's grading reform committee. So if you're interested in that, please give me an email by this Friday if you'd like to join our other efforts. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That's really helpful. I think Nikki's going to kind of take us through some background of that reform committee.
Good afternoon. For those of you I don't know, I'm Nikki, and I'm glad that you're here. I know it's been a long one, and I appreciate your attention. I want to start out by saying that I got introduced to this work a while ago and started joining the Grading Reform Committee. And then over the summer, there was a small group of us who got together every week all summer and did some work with regards to standards-based grading, best practices, and looking at how that can be done in school. We laughed a lot, we talked a lot, we did a lot of reading and research, and it was some of the highlights of my whole summer. So I do want to shout out to Stephanie Davenport, and I wrote the list down, didn't write it down, I'd forget somebody for sure. Kirsten Augustino, Lauren Faulkner, Carrie Chamberlain, Courtney Konopacki, Kate Brisnick, Kristen Sison, and Linda Feller. And we got together every week over the summer and started looking at what standards-based grading looked like in Schoology, what it looked like, and how to get it started within the class. So in the agenda is a document linked right by my name. It's called the Smarties Guide to Standards-Based Grading. And what this is it's an evolved document that started out with Courtney Konopacki's work over the previous summer, setting out how to start a year and a school looking at standards-based grading. The work that we did over the summer was really to take that and adapt it and make it, add some links, add some ideas and strategies and best practices that had been already done by teachers practicing standards-based grading in their class, sort of some quick and easy tips to make it manageable and how to do it effectively. So I urge you to take a moment and to read it, not at bedtime because it's good, and we really want you to read it and enjoy it. But really when you want to sit down with your subject level teams and discuss what sort of things that you want to do and steps you want to make towards making your grading or practices or more equity-based as well as standards-based. So I think that's all for me. Carrie, would you like to take us through your work?
Sure. So I'm going to share my screen, and it always works better when I end up turning off my camera, but I swear I'm here speaking to you on the other side once I get, oops, hold on. Oh, I haven't done this in so long, thank goodness, but hold on, let me stop my video. Here we go. Okay, so this is just putting it into reality with what we do have as a working program, the LMS, and how they approach district mastery. So we know that there might feel to be some limitations to what we can and can't do, but I found a way. I'm getting my flow and getting it working when I know that some of you guys, even on this call right now, are experiencing some glitches. So in a glitch-free Schoology, this is how I've set up my grade book. I want them to have no grade when they are at their grade tab, which is why I've weighted this at 0%. It allows for them to not be misinformed with what their grade is, because in the traditional grade book, which still houses their assignments and whatnot, you don't want that to be calculated based on averages, that are not decaying average of 70. So I've put it at weighted at 0. Also, if you haven't heard of Schoology Plus, Schoology Plus was overriding or doesn't override the visibility settings. So even if you had this at 100%, then kids with Schoology Plus are seeing a grade, then again, it is misinforming them what their grade is. The grading, the final grade book setting is up to you, but I did it as district traditional grading scale, so that when it comes to me entering my grades at reporting time, I have the typical A, B, C, F. And I have in here how you can have your grades entered into Schoology so that it's pulled from Schoology and put into IC at the appropriate times. And at that point, you can turn on the settings for students to be able to see their grades before it gets set into IC. I personally keep all language in my Schoology with standards-based grading. So I don't want them to see an A to F on Schoology. I want to continue to engage within this setting as you are proficient or emerging. So they will see their grade on the report card as F, because that's still the box we're living in. But on here, I never change my visibility settings for them, which is where I have my visibility settings down here. When it does come to report card time, so next Friday, the 15th, I am going to turn on the grade override column. I have a how-to on that on the end of this slide, so that I can go through and I'll have 2 screens open, one with my mastery grade book and one with the traditional grade book and Schoology, and line by line and just enter their scores there, which is easier than with the box I was living in last year with Power School and having to do the drop down menu on School Loop. So still adding that layer of work for us, the standards-based grading teachers. But I would say, aside from grade period time, all of our lives, at least for me, is easier. And here is how to create an assignment on Schoology, where you're linking your standards and you can link multiple standards to it. So I prefer to use I do everything as Google assignments, so I collect almost everything electronically. And I prefer the Google Drive assignments from within here, because it gives me all the settings I need for standards-based grading, you know, the name and stuff. But the align button down here then brings me to this window that you see on the right side here. And I've searched my personal standards here. And for this assignment, I added 3 different standards to it. You can add as many or as little as you want. And then ways in which you can revisit then. So if you've created your assignment and a student or you want to be like, oh, what standards did I align to it? You can see it from opening up the assignment for this one. I have 2, but also material indicates for myself to remind me and for students so that they know. There's a few different places they'll see and be reminded at what standards are connected to a particular assignment. And then what it looks grading. So this is, I've handed it out in as a Google form, like I showed you slides ago, and I've collected it through Schoology, and I'm in the submission page where students have submitted their work. I get to read the work, make any notes on their work that I would like, and then clicking on the rubric to be able to grade them on their different rubrics here. So here is where they will be on multiple standards that I have attached to the assignment. And here is somewhere I can do it from within the grade book as well. So same assignment, instead of going, so this would be also if you didn't do an electronic submission for students. I'm within my grade book, and I've clicked right here for the rubric to appear up here and to be able to add it. And here is why I don't want them to see a grade within the traditional grade book, because 2.5 out of 4 means nothing in relation to actually how I'm grading them, because there are 2 different standards, and we know that each of these standards are determined by decaying average of C. So they are really, in the terms of a student, very unrelated grades to one another, where they can't be calculated with, the average of 2 is 2.5 out of 4. So this doesn't look accurate within the grade book, but you can still do your grading from within it. This is where I would want students, and continue to have students, access their grade, is to look at this grade report. It's something I need to continually remind students, support teachers, parents, everyone can see this here. We're over here on the left side, you see their overall grade. I have written and suggested that they turn on numbers, because that just really does take away a lot of standards based. I'd rather just emerging or approaching instead of 2.22, but it is what we have right now, where they can see here all the breakdown of the standards that they have currently been assessed on and how they're doing. And I have shown this one here, that grade is based on the most recent assignment, which is the top one with emerging for colonization EQ. Here is my grade book for a mastery grade book. So where I can see all these aren't my students. I stole this off of the Schoology page. That's why I locked them out or anything. But this would be what my grade book does look like. Obviously different standards. I see an overall grade student. So this is what I have open when entering my grades at report card time. And I would say, okay, Sarah is meeting the different terminology that we use, and so that's probably an A in this scenario here, and entering then an A report, which would be pulled from Schoology and placed into IC. So here is what a student and parent, and you as a support teacher, if you're looking to see how students are doing, what a student of mine will see, which is a line, a dash. Again, I have hidden it for visibility settings, and I've made the one, for the traditional grade book, that my US grade is weighted at 0%. And so this is where the constant education needs to be provided to students, parents, that it's not that I have not done any grading, it's just that they have to go to a different location. They need to actually click on my class, US history. They'll be within my class. They'll see the grades tab. I tell them to ignore that and then go to the mastery tab right there. I have again suggested to Schoology that they have a separate line item here for a traditional grade and a mastery grade. So they do have that one shot here. Even on the grades tab here, they will not see my grade. They do have to go into my class and they have to click on the mastery tab. Just a small note that if you put a note on a student's grade, like, great work or missing this, it's only going to appear for them in their traditional grade book and their grade report from here, not in the mastery grade report. I've also suggested that they change that too. And so here is, I was talking about within my class. If they go to grades, it brings them here. And they're going to see those notes like excused or any sort of notes I may have had. We'll be able to see whether they've turned things in, whether it's been submitted back to them. Not quite sure whether there's 2 mastery tabs, but they need to click on the second one to be brought here, or they can click on it over here on the left side with the single bullseye over there. So this is how they would get over grade, which is more accurate. Over here too, I don't know, I just felt like maybe it's helpful in their traditional grade book. The one category I have is US grade in mastery tab. So US grade in mastery tab, reminds them to go to a different tab. If they even look at that, it's just one additional to try to get them to remember to go to it. Yeah, I think the reason why there are 2 mastery tabs is because when you don't have district mastery turned on, there is another way to track mastery. And so I think that right now that they have that 2 things going on, that there's 2 tabs for it. But the first one is blank completely for them. And also something I just after creating this, I was helping a student in my academic enrichment class. When they log on to Schoology, along their top, like where we see assignments and such, they have a grades tab. And from within there, a drop down does have mastery for our class, but it doesn't bring them to this mastery report. You got to remind them they got to go into your class in order to get there. I have put in a suggestion for that to be changed as well. And this next one here, I'm not going to spend too much time on here, but here is submit grades come grade at reporting time. So not much has changed within my grade book here. I just went and added the grade override column and changed it to A to F grade, which then within grade book, I've moved from this is what it looked like at the top before. And once I've done the grade override here, and again, it's still in for students, but someone with Schoology Plus would be able to see on Schoology that you've given them a B for that. So all the links are there. I know that was really fast. I'm hoping that the slide deck that I did over is informative enough that you are able to find it useful even without here, or there's also the recording.
Carrie, thank you so much for taking the time to put those slides together and to just share the workarounds that have been working for you at this point. And I just wanted to let you know, if you're watching this live or recorded, everything is linked onto that agenda. And so the slides that she shared are linked. The Smarty Guide to Evidence-Based Grading is also linked for you to take a look at and share. And in regards to the Mastery tab, that is on our, the 2 Mastery tabs, that's on our punch list right now with the technical support for the Schoology to see if we need to adjust something or how we can make that just be 1 tab. So this is a work in progress, and I'm sure you're having a few questions that are coming up. So we wanted to give you the opportunity to have a little Q&A. If you have a question, I want to invite you to put it in the chat right now. We can address it, 1 or 2 right now. Otherwise, also on the agenda is a Google form. And what I was hoping we could do is I'm going to share the recording of this and this Google form with administrators. And then also we will share it out on Friday with our Schoology update. So that way, for people who have questions that come up, we will take a look at this form, and we're just going to leave it open for this week up until the grading period ends, October 15th, to just see what specific questions are happening right now around this topic. So I want to invite you to either share that form or we will share it out to all teachers as well on Friday. And then it does collect your email address so that we can get back to you with an email response or someone who might help us with that. Let's see, there's no questions really in the chat coming through. I know that the attendees are hopping in right after school. Here's a question. I submitted custom standards, which are similar to the ACT-FL standards that Ken uploaded already, but the custom ones are organized a bit differently. They are not completed. I believe that the ACT-FL are still in progress for standards. In fact, I'm meeting with Ken before Friday to get an update on where he's at with which standards he has uploaded and which standards have not been uploaded yet. I can confirm that ELA, math, and GSS have all been uploaded, but when it comes to visual and performing arts and CTE and world languages, I don't believe they're all the way uploaded yet. So the next question is, the middle school math standards were uploaded by someone from Gale Ranch, so all of my standards are labeled that way, which my students find confusing. Why does the site even need to be listed? Thank you, Rebecca, for that question. Carrie, is there a way that we're looking at that, or is that just based on how it was uploaded, do you think?
That's just based on how it was uploaded, because we did suggest in our summer group to not have them labeled by campus. The only thing I worry about is if you change the name of it, is it could end up reduplicating them going into the grade book. And so they become old standards versus new standards. So now that they're uploaded and we've started grading, I would say, please don't change them. I fear what's going to happen unless he's able to change it without uploading our standards. And so I would say even that for you, Rebecca, even if they could change it and add some for you, then you're going to see the old ones and you'd have to re-enter. And so you might end up seeing them for your campus, but maybe ask Ken if he's able to just go in and rename it without an upload change.
Good call. Yeah, thank you. Another question says the custom ones that I have organized differently have 7-11 uploaded. I'm not sure.
I think Kristen has 7 of her 11 uploaded.
Oh, you're missing 4, Kristen. That would be an email for Ken to add those last 4 for you. Next year, can we have all the standards be standardized across the district? At least all state national standards. Yeah, Rebecca, thank you for bringing that up. One of the unintended or unknowns that we discovered in the last month or so was that in the launch of the school year, we understood that all of the Common Core standards were already available to all of our teachers, and they were. And then we met as grading reform group to talk about what they had learned in their work that Nikki was highlighting over the summer. And so we started to upload the district mastery standards that were kind of so that we could play with that setting as well. What we did not realize at the time is doing that took away the access for all of you for Common Core standards. And that took us a while to figure that out. And that's why we've had to go back and now manually enter the Common Core standards. I really do hope that next year we can have this more organized, definitely from the beginning. And that's why we're collaborating closely with the Grading Reform Committee to really have things aligned with the work that they're doing and using those outcomes to drive the way that Schoology is set up for all of our users. Okay, there's another question from Dylan regarding grade transfer to IC. If our grades are mastery based and also pass, no pass, are we to overwrite IC after the transfer, or do we put them in early? What is the timeline for that process? Thank you, Dylan, for that question. I would say that there will be strict communication for the next grading period with timelines for that. As I understood the last time, there was the window where you could go in and update things. And I believe that's the best time for standards-based graders to go in after the IC upload has happened. That way you can go back in that one window for making adjustments. The timeline for that will be set with Ken and his team, and I'm hoping to have that communication soon. As we know, October 15th is next Friday for our end of our quarter. The other thing I want to make sure everyone knows about is that grade pass back to IC, I put this in the communication for last Friday, is now possible if the settings are set up a certain way. So that is something that will be coming out in communication with how to set it up. And then we're also offering office hours next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the afternoon with Ken if people have specific questions on how to do that. I hope that answers your question, Dylan. Christina has a question for you, Carrie.
Yes. So they can, let me actually share my screen again and show this one. Let me know if I'm not answering this correctly either. So this, here is a better picture of it. Students see this, and right up here at the top left is their overall grade. So they don't see it in the grade book. They've got to go to the mastery area, which is the bullseye on your page. but this is no secret to them. They see it. The overall grades over here on the left under site DVHS there. And then they can see how they do on each individual standards. The screen went black. For everyone? No, you can see it.
I can see, okay.
Okay, all right. So the you'll be able to, wait, I wasn't sure if that was accurate. This one is accurate. Just anything within this grade book is not accurate. So tell them to go away from there, or like, well, they obviously, sorry, wouldn't see that grade book. Everything on their grade tab here is inaccurate. It would just be an indication to them whether they're missing work or not.
And I know for sure this has been educating students and families. Carrie and I have had a lot of conversations about having to repeat that for people, because if you're in the student view or the parent view and you have one teacher doing standards or mastery based grading and other teachers doing traditional, and they don't look that often, it might be a topic of conversation that needs to be redirected so that they understand. So Christina has another question. How many assignments per standard skill do the students need to complete in order for the decaying average to kick in?
So once a single grade is in there, so let's say you have evidence and you put one assignment in, that one assignment becomes evidence grade. The second, so it'd be wholly, like 100% that one. Once you add a second assignment in there, then it is calculated based on the 70%. So the newer assignment would be weighted at 70% more value for evidence than the first assignment. And then, so if you have 6 standards, then each standard is determined by decaying average, and they average all 6 of those standards to get an overall grade. If that's not some math for you, I don't know what is.
That's pretty impressive at 3:45 after teaching all day. That's what I would say. Okay. Thank you. I asked this because summer is in our sandbox. We were able to add the assignment number. Knowing that we were all aligned actually helps too. Thanks, Christine. I'm glad to know. Okay. Are there any other questions from our live attendees? So before we bring closure to this afternoon, I really truly want to thank Nikki and Carrie for their extra time after school. And I just want to remind you that all of this information is available on the agenda. I will add the recording to this agenda too. So that's one place that you can go to have all the information that was shared during this webinar. And recently in some conversations with the Schoology support team, they shared these resources with me around standards-based grading. And this first webinar, if you're looking for another one to watch, the tips and tricks with mastery and rubrics, they talk about a lot of different options, and it's not everything that is customized that in the same in our school district, but if you're looking for another resource, that is shared on there as well. So if you have additional questions, I want to invite you again to click on this link of the Google form and share them here so that we can get back to you. And also share the agenda with the recording and the form with your colleagues that are on this journey with you. Are there any other closing thoughts, Carrie or Nikki, before we bring closure here?
The only thing I did see that submitted, it might just be worth mentioning right now, is that this was focused on standards-based grading with using decaying average of 70 and what other options are. Right now, with the way that district mastery works, this is the only option. It's not a decision that was made by our district or district office or board. It is the functionality of Schoology. So if decaying at 70 for standards using district mastery is not working in your favor, then you might want to find a different, method within the traditional one, or reach out to someone who is doing it and see maybe some sort of manipulation within it to get it, because you can change scores easily within the mastery grade book if you don't like the decaying average aspect of it. So just a thought for that.
I think the only thing I'd like to say is thank you. I know it's late, and I know it's a strange week with being off on Friday or no students on Friday. So thank you for being here, and thanks for all the work. This is heavy lifting, and I'm really, really grateful.
I am really grateful too, and hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We'll be in touch soon.